So tonight I watched my 66th, the sixth Joan Crawford film. Yes, 66. I love Joan Crawford. So this one was 1942's Reunion in France, which was directed by Jules Dassin, who's probably better known now for his noirs that he made. And also, Any Given, or not Any Given Sunday, Only on Sunday? Not Al Pacino. Only on Sunday with Melina Mercouri. Watch that one. It's great. He acts in that too. But this was one of his earliest films, and it starred Joan Crawford, obviously. And it also had Philip Dorn and John Wayne, and a little bit of John Carradine, and like a microsecond of Ava Gardner when she was very young. So it starts right before the occupation of France during World War II, and it's made during the war. We're in 42 here. And so it's MGM's, like, war propaganda film. Warner Brothers had a lot, but the other studios made them too. And so this was MGM's, and Joseph L. Mankiewicz was the producer, and he gave it a really good budget, and it looks beautiful, and its only problem really is it's a little bit, they force a little, like, how do I put this? The John Wayne, Joan Crawford part in the middle of the film just doesn't work. Like, if they'd had this whole melodrama between the Michael Dorn character and the Joan Crawford character, and had not a star play the pilot that the American pilot she tries to save towards the middle of the movie, so that you weren't really focusing on him, that would probably have made the film better. But I like what it had to say. I studied French literature in college, in undergrad, and I took a class on the French occupation, and it was called something like, I can't remember the title, but it was about how the theater and poetry and movies and novels made during and after the occupation of Paris and occupation of France still haunted France, and for decades after. And this was sort of a look into the French resistance and people who were working with the Nazis but against the Nazis. And I wish they had sort of like elevated it a little more and made it felt a little more like the risks, like they had upped the risks so you really felt like they were basically like risking their lives for what they were doing, because they were, and they say that, but you don't really feel it as well as maybe you could have. But the very last shot of the film made me cry. Like, it made me want to go buy war bonds. It didn't have an ad for war bonds at the end of the movie. I was a little disappointed because I was ready to buy some. They're making a movie coming out next year, I guess, of Sweet Francais. It's going to star Michelle Williams. And I'm kind of bummed because I really love that book. I've read it in English and in French. I actually read it in English first so that when I read it in French, I would have a better chance of understanding it. And then it turned out that for my French class, we were only reading the second half, which takes place not in occupied Paris, but in occupied countryside. And that's the part that they're focusing on in the novel, in the movie. And I'm kind of bummed because I really liked the first half of the novel, which is about like the rich characters panicking as Paris is about to fall, and it all takes place in like 1 or 2 nights, and it's them all panicking. And that this movie sort of reminded me of that, because the Joan Crawford character was one of those rich women who was used to, the bourgeois, and then had to come back to nothing. Her house is occupied by Nazis. She doesn't have any of her stuff. She has no money. She has nothing. And I wish they focus more on that too. I don't know. I just find that aspect of the occupation interesting. And I haven't found a film that really talks about it, other than that first half of Sweet Francais, the novel. So if anyone has recommendations on like occupied France, occupied Paris movies, like let me know, because it's something I'm really fascinated by. So this is my 66 Joan Crawford film. I clearly should talk a little bit about Joan Crawford. I love her so much. I love how she took control of her career, and I love how she just sort of made herself. She's like, I will be a star. She is such a star. Like, you just look at her and you're like, and I know a lot of people don't like her because she's kind of Joan Crawford in all of her movies, unlike Bette Davis, who sort of falls into her roles. But I love Joan Crawford, and I don't care that she's Joan Crawford in all her movies. She's fantastic. So if you like Joan Crawford, definitely watch this movie. Yes. 1942, Reunion in France. Jules Dassin. Very good.